Hi, everybody. Dave Clark from InspectCheck.net. Today, we're going to do a little training on asbestos. Yes, I know that's the A word, sometimes I call it. It's one of those things, but I just wanted to go over, we had a few people request that, like, what do you do when you see asbestos or allegedly asbestos, right? So what do you say and what do you do? And so let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. We know asbestos is, still used in some products. It's not used, it's an insulation anymore like it was, but we're talking about older asbestos. Where are some of the places that we find it in a house? And I've got about 4 examples here of the most common. We're not going to talk about siding right now. We know that concrete asbestos siding is all over the place. And I think that's for another time, because we're not going to, take that much time here because you're all busy. So let's start. Let me share my screen with you real quick. So we take a look at it, and we can tell this is an old house here, and we can see that it's an old boiler or steam pipe. And there's, no question that it's asbestos, probably asbestos. But what most of our standards of practice say, I'll make that a little bigger for you. Just about all of our standards of practice say that unless we know for sure that it's asbestos, after it's tested, we should not write that it's asbestos. So, I get it. A lot of times, I'll say, look, you can get it tested, but I'm pretty sure it's asbestos based on the age of the house, based on what it looks like. But as far as putting that in a report and telling them unequivocally that's what it is, you should be cautious doing that. Okay, but we can see in this case, there's a lot of talk about asbestos throughout the years, and this would be considered friable, right? Which means it's disintegrating, and probably underneath there it's falling on the ground and airborne. So in that instance, it's going to be something that's going to need to be removed. That whole encapsulation thing has kind of gone out the window, but let me show you some more. And again, same thing. This has been abandoned, which is great. So maybe they ran copper to the boiler or something like that. Still, though, again, this is all friable stuff, right? So it's loose, friable, something that we really should probably have removed. Again, we're going to note that it's an unknown material that may contain asbestos, and it should be removed. But there's some other places too, and I know you'll know this one too, and that's the floor, right? So I'll make that a little bit bigger. So we know that certain size tiles, I think it's 8 by 8 or 9 by 9. They could be sometimes, but they're usually not 12 by 12. I've heard some people say 10 by 10, but I don't know if I've ever seen those, but I think it's 9 by 9 is the standard for that. Haven't seen 12 by 12, but there is asbestos in linoleum flooring too, older stuff. So again, we're not going to take this and test it. If it's adhered well to the floor, it's probably best just to cover it with something else rather than take it out. And there's a lot of different laws on how you can take it out, whether the homeowner could do it themselves or whether it has to be done by a company. We're not going to get into that either. What I want to do is just show you some places where you might find it and really how to report on it. Okay, so here's, excuse me, here's another spot. Fuse panel, excuse me, old fuse panel. And we could see it's lined with something, okay? And we pretty much know what that is. So we're going to recommend the panel is upgraded and replaced anyway. And so at that point, does it really need to be tested? I think the whole thing just needs to be taken out. Will an electric company come in and do that? Or will they want the asbestos-like material removed? They want all this gone before they come in and take it out? I don't know. I mean, that's something that you'd have to look at the legality of that, look at the company you're using. But there's a place we see it lined too. I'll show you one more, and there's more. And like I said, asbestos is still being used. So there's more. But then there's this one here is on a forced air. So we looked at it on a boiler or a steam pipe, but now we're looking at it on forced air, and it's taped on, it's glued on, whatever. And I don't know, I've got something going on over here. But, and we can see it's also becoming friable, okay? So it's friable. So let me discuss a couple of things with you when it comes to asbestos on the different areas, right? If it's in the electric panel, okay, look, more than likely, and it's not going to be in a modern electric panel. The only times I've seen it in electric panels are old fuses. I've never seen it in a circuit breaker panel. So old fuses, and they're going to absolutely have to be replaced anyway. So I think that's kind of, you know, a no-brainer that they're going to replace the panel and the asbestos is going to go with it. So that's done. As far as the flooring goes, and even siding, if it's undisturbed and in good condition, it's not going to really pose a risk to them unless they do disturb it. So I think at that point to educate them and say, look, if you're going to go the siding, if you're going to drill a hole or use a Sawzall on it, that dust is a carcinogen. Same thing with the floor. If you're going to dig the floor up, have a professional do it. If you're just going to cover that, say it's a basement floor and you're going to cover it with maybe you know, plank, that waterproof plank, or you're going to cover it with carpet or even linoleum over the top, I would just say leave it, you know, and at that point it's encapsulated. If it's all breaking apart and loose, then yeah, they're going to have to get it removed, and they need to check with their local municipality to see how that needs to be done properly. Okay, but let's go back to the boiler pipes and the forced hot air, the ducts, right? If it's on a boiler pipe and it's in an area where we're not going to come in contact with it, like for instance, a crawl space. Let's say it's in a crawl space or a basement that's really not finished, more of a cellar, low ceiling. You're not going to go down there. There's no laundry area. That, you know, people aren't going to be hanging out in that area. At that point, does it really need to be removed? And I think that comes down to a question of what the client wants. What do they want? What is their feeling? And you know, when we do inspections, I always think, what would I want? What would I do with it if it's my house? Personally, I'd get rid of it. Okay, I've done it. So I would get rid of it. But in that case, it's probably not that important. Now, if it's in an area where, you know, high basement, there's laundry areas down there, maybe there's some finished spots or areas that could be finished. In that case, you really should recommend that it's removed. But what about on forced air? No matter where it is, right? You could have forced air in a crawl space. The problem I see with forced air is that it's a closed system and it creates a suction. If you've ever opened the door, you know, where the filter is on a forced hot air system that's running, you'll see there's an incredible amount of suction. And that's why we talk about having open returns as a problem, right? Especially in a case like this. But, you know, even when these ducts were installed, now they have great sealant on the ducts, but when these ducts were installed, they weren't that sealed. They weren't that tight. There were a lot of air gaps. And sometimes you had duct tape on them or nothing, or this tape, right? Closing those gaps. And so with that amount of suction, I would be concerned that the fibers can be drawn into that system and distributed through the house. Could that happen? Of course, it could happen. It way beyond the scope of a visual home inspection, right? We're not going to get in there and test for that. Now, there is indoor air quality testing. Some of you do. But in this case, we're going to recommend that it's removed. I can't think of a time that it's on a duct that I did not recommend that it's removed. I think that is the best way to advise your client. I also think if it's on a boiler or steam in an area that it can come in contact with people, it also should be removed too. Okay, and we already talked about the fuse panel. So let me, I want to share my screen right now. I want to show you how we would report on that. Okay, so look, we'll do it in two places. There could be multiple places, but let's just do it in two places. In this case, we're going to go over to heating, and then we're going to do supply and return. Okay, so and of course, you know, clean the ducts, whatever, insulate. We're going to go down. We have this right here, and this would be the best place to put it. Let me edit this because we've been working on it. So it says unknown material substance insulating ducts, pipes, unit. Recommend testing for asbestos. So in this case, it's the ductwork and or the pipe, which would be the boiler. We're going to check that, and we'll see inspect check automatically does this. The inspector has indicated there's an unknown substance or material insulating the ducts or lines. The only way to positively identify this material is to have an approved lab test it for hazardous material, including asbestos. Asbestos is a carcinogen. If asbestos or other hazardous material is detected, recommend having it properly removed by environment. And here's as simple as this. You probably don't even need to put this because it says it right in the description of what it is. You could add a picture if you want. I'm not a huge picture person, You know, for a lot of reasons. If it's that obvious, do we really need a picture? But we could throw a picture in there. Recommend having it probably moved, and you would put, you know, boiler pipes, you know, or there. Simple. That's all you need to do. Okay, and like I said, if you wanted to add a picture, you could. And so that's pretty much where you would note it for both of those scenarios. You know, obviously, if there's a flooring issue, we can go interior and go to flooring, doors, walls, ceiling, and click that in there. You know, again, all the different types of flooring, but we don't really note asbestos in there. But we could note it anywhere in any of these other sections. Don't get into that too much. Show you real quick the exterior. If we look here, so we're going to call it fiber cement, very durable. Okay, older fiber cement tiles may have been manufactured with asbestos. Fibers not used in modern construction. Proper disposal and handling are required. Recommend a qualified contractor, asbestos contractor, for evaluation if removed or modifications are made. That's really what it is. If it's in place and it's in good shape, then fine. Now, if it is in poor condition, right, then we're going to make a note here. Older, you know, after asbestos, proper disposals, and I would probably recommend contacting a qualified asbestos contractor for evaluation and removal. I would just change this. And just put and removal, done, because it's in bad shape. You know, so we change that. It's as simple as that. Come down here, mark it complete, and move on. So there are just two examples of how we would do that. So again, anytime you note something that's asbestos, you really should not say it's asbestos unless you're absolutely sure. And really the only way to do that is have it tested, even though we know, you know, and I may say something like I'm 99% sure it is. If they want to get it tested. But look, do they really need to spend that extra money to get it tested? If it's an older house, the examples I showed you, I don't think there should be a doubt in anybody's mind that those materials contained asbestos. So in that case, why are we spending more money getting it tested? Why don't we just have it removed? And again, check with your municipality. Some municipalities, if you're the homeowner and it's your primary residence, you can just take it out. There's no requirement to take it out and throw it out. So I'm not recommending that. Let me just say that, but that's some of the rules and laws that are out there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions, I'm sure I have pictures and or video, and I'd be happy to go over anything you want me to. So just you can comment down below of what you'd like me to address. I'd be happy to put that training together for you. Please subscribe so you'll be the first one to get these new videos as they come out. We're making them regularly and enhancing our newsletter with that. Have a great day, and see you next time.